Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and we've got a Kickstarter review for you. This is live right now. This is the Mud and Blood millions of pitches. This is STL only. It is optimized for plastic printing, but naturally we've done it in resin. So what we're going to do is have a look at the Kickstarter and explain why you should back it very quickly because it ends on Monday. Okay, so the Mud and Blood Kickstarter finishes at lunchtime on Monday UK time, and it's crushed its goal already, which is very, very fair. Now, this is a Kickstarter that is all about printing. So this is pitches. These are big plates of pitches for Blood Bowl. They are optimized for plastic printing. Now, we got the files quite early on, but actually due to, honestly, the weather and technical issues, we have had a nightmare printing stuff. Not this, not the files, just stuff in general. You'll see I even got some slippage on my resin printer because I think the resin just got hot in the shed because the temperature was really high. We got Milton to print some out on his plastic printer, but it turned out that his filament was a bit skanky and didn't work out the first couple times. And, well, Triplo is on a cruise, so we couldn't get him to print them. So this is optimized for plastic printing. I was hoping to get a full-on plastic print ready to show. I don't, but I do have some pictures of the ones that Milton's been working on. So then I wanted to have something on screen, so I cut them up and played and printed them on my resin printer. We'll come to that in a bit, but first of all, let's have a look at what's in the Kickstarter. So there is 48 hours to go as I'm filming this right now. Like I said, we're trying to get hold of some plastic printed to really show them off. So we've left it a bit last minute. Now, this is just remarkable. It's £15, and you get all of the pitches. And there are 7s pitches and 11s pitches for basically every variant that you've got here. You get all the files, and I believe you're allowed to print them and sell them. Yeah, free lifetime commercial licensing, which is pretty amazing. So here we go. There's even a pay what you want option. That's amazing. Anyway, we'll ignore that. If you hit the goal of £2,500, which they've done, you will get 18 pitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and have a look at all the pitches that are available in this Kickstarter right now. And I want to just double down here. It is £15 for all of the files for all of these pitches, and I guarantee you there will be a couple of styles that will really want you to play, and then we'll touch on actually how they're designed in a second, because there's a couple of brilliant things here. But hey, we're visual Blood Bowl players. There's the Bloodstone Quarry pitch, which is this here, which is kind of standard flagstone, and there's a 7s pitch with a cool little roundabout in the middle, which I absolutely love. That's what I started printing off, was the 7s pitch, because I really love the design. It is also the one from the painted version, which I am a really big fan of. It's a cool design. It's nice and flat, which means you can place your minis on there. We've seen some Kickstarters before for pitches where there's just really cool elements to it, but they are completely impractical if you actually want to use them as a Blood Bowl pitch. So this, however, good detail, nice and flat. Actually good playability, which is pretty useful. There is a Muddy Meadows pitch, which is your grass and mud kind of version. There's a stadium that comes with it as well, which is just outrageous. You've got dugouts too, scoreboards. All right, here we go, more pitches. So the Loamy Glades is the forest pitch and a 7s version of it. Milton and I had a look at this, and we kind of thought this looks like a 3D version of the actual Wood Elf Games Workshop pitch. You've got the vines, you've got the swirly bits that you can paint as glowy and spirity. Absolutely awesome. I really love that design. And you can see that the not the dugout, the pitch hatch trapdoor, there you go, has been picked out by having a little portal there. On this one here, it is a grate, a sewer grate. Okay, so we've got that. Then there is the Glyphstone Desert, which a ton of work has gone into making. The thing that, actually, we talked about this on the podcast last week, that we really like about this is the fact you've got this ziggurat in the middle. Now, whether that's going to be the most practical thing or not for Blood Bowl, I don't know, but I love the idea of that line of scrimmage just being raised like it's some kind of sacrificial, like, pillar. Absolutely awesome. Brimstone Flats, which is a really cool design. You've got that kind of lava pitch. Doesn't need to be painted as lava. It can be painted as kind of cracked wasteland, little batches of grass everywhere. Brilliant. And again, nice and flat. I can't quite see what the portal is, but it looks like what the trapdoor is, but it looks like just some kind of gribbly chaos portal, which is awesome. The glacier tundra was really cool. We got the ice pitch here. Again, you've got all the elements you want. You've got cracked ice, you've got standard ground in there as well. This is the one I'm really excited about. I don't know why, but I just love the idea. So ancient temple, you've got raised end zones, so it's like, I don't know, I think it's probably because we go back to the old sewer bowl days where we kind of built the edges to be higher and the middle to be like the actual sewer bit. You've got this kind of like bowl, this coliseum, this combat arena, and I really like it. It's good texture. The sevens one, I'm going to have to get someone to print me that. I don't think I'll do it in resin, although it turned out to be quite cheaper than I expected it to be, but I love that design too. And there's the beach bowl pitch as well, and you've got extra dugouts and all sorts of stuff. You've got bases and a street bowl pitch. This is everything, right? This is just a ton of cool pitches for £15, and this is why I genuinely think if you have a printer, if you have a friend with a printer, if you need STLs, this is just awesome. The value's great and the quality is brilliant. Now, one thing I'm going to talk about, which is the level of detail, and we already touched on this. Kraken Studios, awesome pitches, but there's pits where there's like tentacles coming out the ground and stuff, and seriously, you try and stand a model on that, it isn't going to happen. This detail is raised, but it's raised in a way that actually it is flat and therefore stable for you to put a model on. And when you are playing a game like Blood Bowl, it is incredibly important that you have that, especially because your players are being laid down as well. So having too much spiky detail is a bit of a problem. Now, I don't think the raised sections, the steps, are going to be a problem, because if you guys have ever played any kind of dungeon game, you get steps, and steps work just fine, and they work fine in Blood Bowl. In fact, we did a couple of Sewer Bowl 7 pitches with like raised edges, curbs and stuff, and it works really, really well. Now, this is the bit that we have to talk about. The files are massive. So if you have a resin printer, there's some work to do. I wanted to do it. I wanted to prove it could be done, and I've done it, and we'll have a quick look at that in a second. But these are cleverly designed, but they are big files. So this is one of the sevens files, and it is... tape measure. Tape measure! We've got a tape measure, because it is quite large, right? What are we looking at? We're looking at 7.5 inches by 7 inches, basically. They're kind of 5 by 5 square chunks, which is big. Most Kickstarter pitches and stuff come in squares of 2 by 2. If you saw the way we did the MG Pix build, it was 2 by 2s. This is the file. This was one of the smallest files. So the whole thing is, if you've got a plastic printer, you print it down, you don't get brilliant detail because of the way the nozzle system works on a plastic printer, but it has been cleverly designed to be printed on its side. You get better detail by printing it on its side, and in fact we've got a couple of pictures from Milton to show you in a second where he's tried it in both ways, and actually the detail you get from printing it on the side is genius. Now this, however, does bring up one slight issue. So this is the pitch that is printed on the side, and the detail you get from the plastic printer, with the fact that it is a single piece tile, is really good, right? It's 0.12 mil, I think, which is actually quite comparable to resin printers when you print it sideways. Now the problem is that the tiles, if you don't support them, now Milton added this raft to get the print go, is that if you don't have your plastic printer dialed in really well, you can get some curvature. Now that's not the worst thing in the world, because actually with a hot air gun or a hairdryer or something, you can probably flatten it down and it's really not that difficult. Milton had some technical issues with his, but you can see it's supposed to be printed on its side, and when you print it on the side, the layer depth is thinner. But you have to make sure that your printer is dialed in, that it is leveled, that your filament is good. You've got to make sure that if you're using a plastic printer, that it is dialed in really nicely. But if you don't have a plastic printer, can you print it on a resin printer? You can, and we're going to have a quick look at that right now. Okay, so this is one of the pieces of the sevens pitch, and it is massive. So this build plate is for my Mars 2 Pro, so it is quite a reasonably sized build plate. In fact, we can swap it to the Elegoo Mars, you can see just how much bigger the Mars 2 Pro is. Scale wise, this piece is 170 mil by 187 mil. So what are we looking at there? I don't know, 7 by 8 inches, that kind of size. So it's massive. There is no way to print this on a resin printer. However, what we can do right now is look at a couple of features. So there are gaps in the bottom of these big plates to have tabs. And actually you can see on the ones I've printed, along with the resin drying holes, actually you've got these tabs so that you can put clippets in there. However, we are better hobbyers than that, and we like magnets. And the great thing here is, except for where there is the edge of the pitch, you get 2 magnet holes in each of the sides. So this is the edge of the pitch, actually that's the end zone, where you can just chuck those magnets in and clip them together without having to worry about actual clips. It's a brilliant piece of design. Now I'm sold already, right? Big pieces, if you can print them on your plastic printer, brilliant. You've got magnet holes, fantastic. It's like 6 to 8 pieces per pitch. They're big prints, they're going to take a while, but within a week or 2 you will have a fully printed pitch that will look brilliant in really good detail. If you've got a resin printer, it takes a little bit more work. Really, all you have to do is go into the 3D builder and slice them in quarters. That's it. It's a bit more work, I'll give you. But actually, once you've sliced them into quarters, you keep all the detail. You can print them just fine on your resin printer. You can stack them up. In fact, what we'll do is I will show you the print that I did for this one, so you can see all of my gnarly ways of doing it. Here we go. So Mars 2 Pro, I've taken one tile, I've cut it into quarters, and then most importantly of all, to save money when it comes to the resin printer, I have hollowed it, punched some holes in, stacked it up at what looks like 15 degrees, and supported it with heavies because I am uncouth in every single way. So I took it, I cut it apart, and I chucked it on the print, and it was a 5-hour print for this. If you need to do 6 of them, you're looking at what, 30 hours, and that's going to be 2 to 3 prints a day, realistically. Couple days, you get a print done. That seems a bit too good. Within a week, you could easily print it. Now, cost-wise, for resin, this was 313 cents. So let's again say that there's 8 of these prints. 8 times $3 is what, $24? Let's just say 20 quid's worth of resin. Less than 1 tub. And I think if you do a better job than me, you can probably get 2 pitches out of 1 resin bottle. It's going to take time to print. Man, that's really good. 313 cents for 4 bits. So do that by 8 is 24. Okay, actually, wow. All right, 20 quid a pitch. Gonna take some time, but actually very, very, very doable. Let's have a look at the one I've actually printed. Here's one I made earlier. So I printed this in 4 individual pieces, and you can see underneath, and then I glued them together. That's it. And now we've got 1 plate. Okay, so plate-wise, size-wise, how many squares are we looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and a bit squares. The way that the files are done, they're not done to line up with squares. They're done up in size. So you will not be able to print a 4x4 square element. You will print a portion of a pitch. That takes away a little bit of flexibility when it comes to you being able to rob the files and do what you want with them. But actually, for ease of use, just being able to grab a piece, print it, or cut it into quarters and print that is just fine. In fact, it worked brilliantly. So because it is resin, because I rushed it a little bit, there's a couple of things here. I talked about temperature and things, and I think my resin has suffered a bit because I've got some slip mines which I haven't seen for quite a while. Ignore my thumb. I was undoing supports on a Punga model earlier. I managed to stab my thumb, put a plaster on, and the plaster is just garbage, so I used fragile tape. Made sense, right? So actually, here we go. This is 1 piece of the puzzle. I've cut it in half, well, cut it in quarters, printed it, used my resin holes there, so I've hollowed it out, chucked in the holes to drain it, cleaned it up, dried it. Then I did a little bit of sanding. Obviously, when you're working with resin, sand outside. Don't do it in the studio like I didn't do, and it gets your eyes all sore. Don't do that. Do it outside. I then went outside and finished it off. But yeah, sanded the bottom to make it flat. Now, when it comes to printing anything ever, there's going to be a little bit of bowing. And you can kind of see where I've hastily aligned these. There is a little bit of a line where I've had to rebuild them. If you have ever built a model kit of any description, this is a reality. Okay, so don't look at that and go, "Ooh, I don't want my pitch to look like that." Dude, if you bought it as a plastic kit from Games Workshop, there would be lines. It is just the way that we work. Now, I've done a bad job of taking off the supports, but I've done a very good job in quickly priming this red with a bit of grey on top so that we can see. Now, the detail here is flat, and I love it. It is perfect for a Blood Bowl pitch. Now, I've got my example models here. There we go. So you can actually see that the squares fit right, and this is 100% straight out of the Kickstarter. The only thing I did was quarter it. So the detail is brilliant. It is simplistic, but it is nice and flat, and it works really well. And I can print this on a resin pitch. In fact, I might talk to the Kickstarter dude and just be like, hey, do us all a favor and cut them into quarters, because actually you can just rack them up on your resin printer and print it in probably less time than you can on a plastic printer. That's not what it's designed for, but hey, that's what we do here on the podcast. We find reasons and ways to use things that they're not supposed to do, and of course, we have magnet holes. Okay, there you have it. Mud and Blood. Awesome. Huge selection, really cheap at £15, and just because it is designed for plastic printers doesn't mean that you cannot print it out on your Mars. In fact, you could probably fit 3/4 of a tile on a Mars 1, right? So you will be able to print this on basically any printer you've got. Printing a pitch is a huge investment of time and resource. Actually, resource? I don't know. Like I said, even if this costs 30 quid's worth of resin to print, that's going to be fine. Milton and I had a good chat about how much filament he was going to be using for his pitch, and it's much less. I think it's something like £15 or something in plastic filament. Now, the prints, when you print them sideways, are tall on the printer, so they do take a while. But hey, everything you print takes effort. What you can get here are brilliant detail, nicely put together for Blood Bowl, and the pitch sizes are excellent, and you can print them, and for 15 quid you get all the different pitches. And I think we've just found a way to solve tournaments ever. If you've got a couple of printers, you can print pitches for your event. This is going to be cheaper to print a pitch than it is to buy one from Games Workshop, and that is great for TOs. Anyway, I'm going to go print things now. Please go back this by Monday. Don't miss out, because I think you will regret it if you've got any kind of printer. It's a great investment, and I really want this company to be supported and to do more stuff, because more Blood Bowl is more better, and more stuff for Blood Bowl that's this quality is more betterer. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for watching. Links below. Please click go. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.